My name is Antoine. Welcome to my Dharma Path, Chapter 7 of the Lotus Sutra, known as the Parable of the Phantom City, invites us into a realm where illusions serve as way stations on the soul's journey. This isn't a full recitation, this is sacred storytelling, mythic reflection, and vibrational insight through the eyes of Burton Watson's poetic lens. Let the teachings whisper through your awareness, bridging ancient reverence with modern resonance. I'm using the Burton Watson translation. I'm on page 137 of chapter 7. I'm not going to read the full chapter as it is repetitive. I'm just going to read the last, what is this? Verse. I'm going to read the last verse section and then I'll break it down as I'm reading. At that time, the world-honored one, wishing to state his meaning, once more spoke in verse form, saying, the world-honored one is the Buddha. The great universal wisdom excellence Buddha sat in the place of practice for 10 kalpas, but the law of the Buddha did not appear before him, and he could not attain the Buddha way. The assembly of heavenly gods, dragon kings, asuras, and others constantly rained down heavenly flowers as alms offered to that Buddha. The heavenly beings beat on heavenly drums and made many kinds of music. A fragrant wind blew away the withered flowers, whereupon fresh and beautiful ones rained down. When 10 small kalpas had passed, then at last he was able to attain the Buddha way. The heavenly beings and people of the world in their hearts all felt like dancing. That Buddha's 16 sons, all in company with their followers, 1,000, 10,000, million of them gathered around, all came to the place of the Buddha, touching heads to the ground, bowing at the Buddha's feet, and entering him to turn the wheel of the law, saying, Saintly line, let the Dharma reign, fall in full upon us and all others. The world-honored one is very difficult to encounter. Only once in a long time does he appear, in order to bring enlightenment to the many beings. He shakes and moves the regions all around. What is a kalpa? K-A-L-P-A, kalpa.
A kalpa is a Sanskrit term that represents a vast period of time in Hindu and Buddhist cosmology. It's like an eon, used to describe the lifespan of the universe or a world system. It's a pretty mind-blowing concept, given that a single kalpa can span billions of years. So it's a way to think about deep cosmic time.
A kalpa is billions of years. In the worlds in the eastern direction, in 510,000 million lands, the palaces of the Brahma kings glowed with a light they had never known in the past. When the Brahma kings saw this sign, they came in search of the Buddha's place. Scattering flowers is a form of offering, at the same time presenting their palaces, entreating the Buddha to turn to the will of the law and praising him in verses. The Buddha knew that the time had not yet come, and though they had entreated, he sat in silence. In the other 3 directions and the 4 directions in between, and the upper and lower regions, the same occurred. The Brahma kings scattering flowers, presenting their palaces, entreating the Buddha to turn the will of the law, saying, the world-honored one is very difficult to encounter. Can you explain the Brahma kings and their palaces?
The Brahma kings are celestial beings in Buddhist cosmology, significant for their high spiritual status. These kings rule over the Brahma realms, which are realms of form that are free from sensual desire. Their palaces glowing with light symbolize the profound illumination of wisdom and enlightenment. When the Brahma kings see the light, they recognize the Buddha's presence and go to seek his teachings, making offerings and asking him to turn the wheel of the law, meaning to teach the Dharma. It's a powerful image of devotion and a reminder of the rarity and preciousness of encountering the Buddha's teachings.
The world-honored one is very difficult to encounter. We beg in your great mercy and compassion to open the wide gates of sweet dew and turn the wheel of the unsurpassed law. The world-honored one, immeasurable in wisdom, accepted the entreaties of the assembly and for their sake proclaimed various doctrines. The Four Noble Truths, the 12-link chain of causation, describing how from ignorance to old age and death are all produced through the cause of birth, saying, with regard to these many faults and vexations, you should understand this about them. When he expounded this law, 610,000 million trillion beings were able to reach the end of their sufferings, all attaining the status of arhat. What is an arhat? An arhat.
An arhat is someone who's reached a high. An arhat is someone who's reached a high level of spiritual enlightenment in Buddhism. They've broken free from the cycle of birth and death, known as samsara, by overcoming all their mental defilements. Basically, they've reached a state of perfect peace and wisdom, and are considered worthy of great respect in the Buddhist tradition. It's a pretty significant achievement on the path to enlightenment.
The second time he preached the law, a multitude like 1,000, 10,000 Genji San ceased to accept the things of the phenomenal world, and they too were able to become arhats. Therefore, after those who attained the way were immeasurable in number, one might calculate for 10,000 million kalpas and never be able to reckon their extent. At that time, the 16 princes left their families and became Sharmanaras. Did I pronounce that right? And what does it mean, Sharmanara?
You pronounced it a little off. It's Shramaneras.
Shramaneras.
That's a term for not. Shamanaras is a bit off in pronunciation. The correct term is Shramanera, which refers to a novice monk in Buddhism. These are individuals who've left their household life to pursue the monastic path, taking on vows and practices to train in the Buddhist teachings. So, the 16 princes becoming Shramaneras symbolizes their commitment to the spiritual path.
Shramaneras, all together they entered that Buddha to expound the law of the great vehicle, saying, we and our attendants are all certain to attain a Buddha way. We desire the wisdom eye of foremost purity, such as the world-honored one possesses. The Buddha understood their boyish minds and the actions they had carried out in past existences, and employing immeasurable causes and conditions and various similes and parables, he preached the 6 paramitas. What are the 6 paramitas?
The 6 paramitas, or perfections, are virtues that bodhisattvas cultivate on the path to enlightenment. They are generosity, morality, patience, energy, meditation, and wisdom. Each one supports the development of the others, leading to a complete and perfect awakening. It's like a holistic approach to spiritual development in Buddhism.
He preached, and various similes and parables, he preached the 6 paramitas and matters concerning transcendental powers, distinguishing the true law, the way practiced by bodhisattvas, preaching this sutra in verses as numerous as Genji sands. When the Buddha had finished preaching the law, he entered into meditation in a quiet room with a single mind, sitting in a single place for 84,000 kalpas. The Shramaneras. How do we say that word? Shramaneras. Hello.
Shramaneras are novice monks in Buddhism. They've committed to monastic life and are in training to understand the teachings deeply. It's like a spiritual apprenticeship.
The Shramaneras knew the Buddha would not yet emerge from meditation, and so for the assembly of immeasurable millions, They preach the unsurpassed wisdom of the Buddha, each one sitting in a Dharma seat, preaching the great vehicle sutra. And after the Buddha had entered peaceful tranquility, they continued to proclaim, helping to convert others to the law. The living beings saved by each one of these Shramaneras were equal in number to 610,000 million Ganges sands. After that Buddha had passed into extinction, those persons who had heard the law dwelt here and there in various Buddha lands, constantly reborn in company with their teachers. And these 16 Shramaneras, having fully carried out the Buddha way, at present are dwelling in the 10 directions, where each has attained correct enlightenment. The persons who heard the law at that time are each in a place where there is one of these Buddhas. And those who remain at the stage of voice hearer are gradually being instructed in the Buddha way. I myself was numbered among the 16, and in the past preached for you. For this reason I will employ an expedient means to lead you to the pursuit of Buddha wisdom. Because of these earlier causes and conditions, I'll now preach the Lotus Sutra. I will cause you to enter the Buddha way. Be attentive and harbor no fear. Suppose there was a stretch of steep, bad road in a remote wasteland with many harmful beasts, a place, moreover, without water or grass, one dreaded by people. A group of countless thousands and 10,000s wanted to pass over this steep road, but the road was very long and far stretching, extending 500 yojanas. Explain the word, yojanas. 500 yojanas. What's it mean? Yojanas. It's not working. Let's try again.
Hey, Antoine.
Yojanas, Yojanas. What does it mean?
The passage you're referencing talks about the immense influence of the Buddha's teachings. The Shramaneras, or novice monks, who initially didn't fully know the Buddha, eventually embrace and spread his profound teachings. It's a journey of learning, teaching, and guiding others.
What about 500 yojanas? What does that mean?
Yojanas is an ancient measure of distance. It's often used in texts like the Lotus Sutra to convey vast distances or metaphorical grandeur.
Okay, yojanas. Thank you. Stop talking. Yojanas. At this time, there was a leader well-informed, possessing wisdom, of clear understanding and determined mind, capable of saving endangered persons from manifold difficulties. The members of the group were all weary and disheartened and said to the leader, "We are now exhausted with fatigue and wish at this point to turn around and go back." The leader thought to himself, "These people are truly pitiful. Why do they wish to turn back and miss the many rare treasures ahead?" At that time, he thought of an expedient means, deciding to exercise his transcendental powers. He conjured up a great walled city and adorned its mansions, surrounding them with gardens and groves, channels of flowing water, ponds and lakes, with double gates and tall towers and pavilions, all filled with men and women. As soon as he had created this illusion, he comforted the group, saying, "Have no fear. You can enter this city," and each amuse himself as he pleases. When the people had entered the city, they were all overjoyed in heart. All had a feeling of ease and tranquility, telling themselves that they had been saved. When the leader knew they were rested, he called them together and announced, "Now you must push forward. This is nothing more than a phantom city. I saw that you were weary and exhausted. and wanted to turn back in mid-journey. Therefore, I used the power of expedient means to conjure up this city for the moment. Now you must press forward diligently, so that together you may reach the place where the treasure is. I too do likewise, acting as leader to all beings. I see the seekers of the way growing disheartened in mid-journey, unable to pass over the steep road of birth and death and earthly desires. And therefore I use the power of expedient means and preach nirvana to provide them with rest, saying, your sufferings are extinguished. You have carried out all there is to be done. When I know they have reached nirvana and all have attained the stage of arhat, then I will call the great assembly together and preach the true law for them. The Buddhas, through the power of expedient means, make distinctions and preach three vehicles. But there is only the single Buddha vehicle. The other two nirvanas are preached to provide a resting place. Now I expound the truth for you. What you have attained is not extinction for the sake of the comprehensive wisdom of the Buddha. You must expend great effort and diligence. If you gain enlightenment in the law of the Buddha with its comprehensive wisdom and 10 powers, and are endowed with the 32 features, then this will all be true extinction. The Buddhas, in their capacity as leaders, preach nirvana to provide a test. But when they know you have become rested, they lead you onward to the Buddha wisdom. Okay, that's all I'm going to read out of chapter 7 today. Let's ask our chat bot some questions about the Phantom City. Are you there? Hello.
I'm here. The analogy of the Phantom City beautifully captures the concept of expedient means in Buddhist teachings. It represents...
Okay, you're there. Can you explain what a Brahma King is and a Brahma King Palace?
Brahma Kings are celestial beings within Buddhist cosmology, regarded as protectors of the Dharma. Their palaces represent realms...
Are they real or mythical? Are they real or are they myth? Okay, no answer. They're probably real, and it's programmed not to tell you.
They're not perceived Brahma Kings.
The parable of the Phantom City is designed to say what? What's the idea behind this teaching?
The parable of the Phantom City illustrates the use of expedient means in guiding beings towards enlightenment. The Phantom City represents a temporary resting place, meeting people where they are, giving them the motivation to continue their spiritual journey. It emphasizes that the ultimate goal is the true city, or enlightenment, symbolizing the profound wisdom of the Buddha. It's a teaching about compassionately guiding others on their path to awakening.
If we were to ask Joseph Campbell about the parable of the Phantom City, what might he have said?
Joseph Campbell would likely see the parable of the Phantom City as a powerful metaphor in the hero's journey, a recurring theme in world mythology. He might say it represents the trials and illusions that seekers face, ultimately leading them to deeper truths and enlightenment. Campbell would likely appreciate how the story guides individuals to transcend the ordinary and discover the extraordinary within themselves.
Excellent. As the Phantom City fades and eternal Dharma remains, if this reflection stirred something in your spirit, let it echo in the comments below. What does your Phantom City look like? Subscribe to join this ever-expanding mandala of seekers and storytellers. ASMR infused reading, spiritual decoding, and mythological synthesis await you. Journey well, luminous soul, the path continues.